Focal length blending is a really great way to improve your compositions of those wide angle scenes that we landscape photographers love to take. I want to show you guys how to do it both in the field and in Photoshop in today's video. Now, if you're new here, my name is Austin James Jackson, professional landscape photographer based in Southern Utah. Today I'm out here in Arizona and I'm capturing this beautiful scene. We've got this cholla cactus, we've got this mountain in the background, but it has one small problem. The mountain appears so small, even though the mountain is like right there. It is so close to me. It appears like it is so far away. But I need to shoot really wide to be able to capture this whole cactus. Now that is where the focal length blend comes into play. A focal length blend is where you combine multiple images shot at different focal lengths to, more often than not, it's going to enhance your subject and it's going to still keep that foreground nice and close to you. You'll notice as you zoom in, even the difference between 16 and 24 millimeters is huge when you're shooting a subject that is close to you, but maybe not quite as close as it needs to be. So we're going to show you guys how to do that today. Now, first I want to jump over and show you what we're looking at with my camera. I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to shoot it in the field, and then we're going to take the very images that I shoot here in the field, and we are going to combine them in Photoshop. I'll show you how to do that. So let's jump over, let's take a look at my camera screen and exactly what I'm working with. Okay, so I've got my composition set up here. You can see we have this nice cactus here on the bottom left, and then we have our subject rock in the back middle, but the rock is just so small. I want that rock to be a little bit bigger. So first things first, I want to take my wide angle shot. These are the settings I'm going to use here, just properly expose that. Right now I've got f5.6, nice and sharp. At that aperture, I've got 1/25th of a second shutter speed, just because that's the proper light exposure here. And then I've got ISO 100. Why not use base ISO, get as little noise as possible. And of course, you want to make sure your 2-second timer is on. And I'm going to select that little cactus in the foreground as our focus point. I want to make 2 other focus points here. Yes, we are doing a focus stack as well. I'm not going to show you how to do the focus stack. I'll link a video if you don't know how to do a focus stack, but that is something that you want to do before the focal length blend. So I want to have my completely in sharp, in focus image here first before I get to that background blend in there. Now that I've got those 3 images, what I'm going to do is adjust my camera here, and I'm going to zoom in. I'm using a 16 to 25 millimeter. 25 is perfect, so I'm just going to zoom right in. I just want to get that mountain in there nice and big. I don't want to cut it off really too close to the edge. Just somewhere right in there is totally fine. That'll give me enough pixels to work with to do this blend. And I don't need to do a focus stack here because everything I'm going to take from this image is going to be from that background there. Now I know this seems like it might be a little complicated, but just trust me here. Once you have those images, that's really all you need. Make sure you don't change your settings and try and take them one after another. You don't want to wait a long time between images because then it just becomes more difficult in post-processing. So you can see I just did that there in a span of 30 to 45 seconds. I took all the images. Now I'm going to take this into post and we will show you guys how to do it there in Photoshop to blend these 2 images together seamlessly for the focal length blend. All right, now as you can tell, I'm back home in my office. It's time to merge these photos together here in Photoshop. Now I already did the focus stack. If you want to know how I do a focus stack, I've linked a video here where I review Helicon Focus. It's a great way to do a focus stack, but we're not going to show it in this video because it's a little bit outside of the scope. Instead, I'm just going to show you the focal length blend as mentioned. So let's jump right in there into Photoshop here. I've already opened both my layers here, both my photos as layers. You can see I've got the bottom layer and the top layer here. So essentially we just want to make this mountain blend in with this image here to make our subject a little bit bigger. Now what I like to do first and foremost is to drop the opacity on this top layer. That will allow me to see both mountains. You can grab your move tool over here or just hit V. That'll allow you to slide this around. Now I'm going to move this into place. And this is generally what you're going to want to do, assuming that your foreground image is basically exactly how you want it. This is how I'd like my image composed. I like this in the foreground here. So I want to move this further zoomed in image. I've got, this one here, I think I said in the field was 25 millimeters. And then the one that's below it is somewhere right around 16 millimeters. So they should blend together nicely. So I'm just going to move this mountain into place to where I want it. Now you are somewhat limited that the mountain here needs to be in the center of the frame. I couldn't blend it like over here because then I'm going to have lots of empty space. That's not going to work out over here. So I need to keep this pretty much right in the center. But I'm just going to move this up to about where the mountain is. You know, I don't want to do it all the way down here, and I don't want to do it too far up either. So probably about right in there. You can see it's pretty close to what's behind it. Now you have, there's a few different ways you can do this. My favorite way is just increase the opacity again. And then what we're going to do is click on, or hold Option, the Alt Option button, and click on the layer mask. That will apply a completely black layer mask. If you don't know how to use layer masking, I'll link a video here where I talk all about layer masking in Photoshop. They're very easy to use, but for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to assume you know how to use them already. Now we'll grab our brush tool here. I want to make sure we're on white. And for this, I want to make sure I'm on 100% opacity. And 0% hardness is fine. We might adjust that later. I do want to make my brush a little bit smaller. Now we're just going to start to paint in on the top. What that's going to do is paint this bottom, or this top layer that's being completely hidden by this layer mask. It's going to paint it back into the photo, just like that. Now, obviously, the first thing you need to make sure is that you don't have any like 50% gray stuff like that in the sky. So what we want to do is make our brush a little bit smaller. We want to paint over all of that. Now it already passes the eye test. If we were going to post this on Instagram, no one would be able to tell. You can see we've made our mountain just a little bit bigger. But what I want to do is make sure this blends seamlessly. So as I mentioned before, not all compositions are going to work for this. You need to make sure that it is somewhat of a seamless blend. The reason why this one's going to work is because there's a lot of low, like not very detailed things in the background here. And sure, you know, I am cutting out a lot of this stuff here, but I don't really care that much about it. But I do want to avoid, you can kind of tell it looks a little junky through here. So I want to avoid that. So what we're going to do, make our brush smaller, keep it on white, 100% opacity, still nice and feathered. And we're just going to paint in here to make this as seamless as possible. Now, you can go in, this scene is actually a little bit more detailed generally than the scenes that I normally do this with. You can see like as we start to paint this down, it starts to not look very good because we have this rock on the left. So it's just all about finding the breakpoints here where you can seamlessly blend things in and have it look good. Ideally, you'd be doing this in a scene, like on an image where there's like absolutely nothing here in the middle. But in this scene, there is a little bit going on. But you can see, like, had you not known that I did this, I don't think you'd be able to tell that the difference between the bottom and the top here, it all looks the same. Over here, you know, maybe the goalie doesn't look good. You can make this smaller. If you're not liking the low hardness on the brush, you can make it a little bit harder to kind of just paint it in with a little bit harder of an edge. And you're going to run into trouble when you get around bushes and stuff like that. So you'd want to refine that as much as possible. I don't want to paint into the rock here. That's not going to look realistic. So do as much or as little refinement as needed. If I was doing this for myself, I would spend a little bit more time doing this, making it look seamless. If you are just someone who's going to post on social media, it really doesn't matter at all. But if you are someone like me that maybe you'll print it eventually, then you may want to spend a little bit more time doing this. But I would say to the eye right now, looking at this, I mean, we're looking on a big screen right now. If you were looking on Instagram, it would be about that small. No one could tell. And what we've done here is before and after. So we've made our mountain just a little bit bigger. It just helps to kind of compress the scene a little bit, make that mountain just a hair larger while still maintaining that ultra wide foreground. So it's a technique that I like using for things like that. Now I'm not doing this a whole lot, but every once in a while for a scene like this, it is really necessary because otherwise you can see in this scene, this mountain just feels like it's just a secondary thought. It's not really a main subject, whereas here it's just a little bit bigger, but it does kind of hold more of that main subject spot. So that is how I go about doing a focal length blend here in Photoshop. All right, hopefully that makes sense for you and I made it nice and easy. If not, let me know down below in the comments with questions that you may have, or if it does work for you and it was easy to follow along, I'd love to hear from you as well. Always love hearing from you guys and connecting with everybody that's watching these videos. As always, I want to thank you so incredibly much for being here. Really appreciate you taking the time to watch my video. I do hope that it was helpful for you. And do make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are serious about improving your outdoor photography, whether it be landscapes, wildlife, or anything else in nature. I'm your guy. I want to help you to get better as quickly as possible with these short, sweet, and straight to the point videos. Again, my name is Austin James Jackson. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.